All right, so it is not a dollar day. It is just a normal day. I worked this morning. It's about 4:30 right now, and I decided to come down about an hour from my house, which is where the closest LA Goodwills are to me. And I'm gonna go thrifting for a little bit. So I've got a couple of returns that if I don't return them by today, I eat the money, and they were both full priced items. So I think I probably have about $15 in credit or in exchange. And I'm not going to Dollar Day this Thursday, but I am going thrifting later this week with some friends. So today is not a normal day for me to thrift. There's nothing unusual except it's 50% off the color of the week. And so I'm gonna grab my exchanges in this bag. I'm gonna head inside, spend maybe 4 to 5 hours, basically until they close. And hopefully I can find some good stuff. So yeah, that's where we're at. Thrift with me.
Okay, so before I go into the store, I noticed that there was a boba place next door. So I decided to get a little boba tea to keep me company during thrifting. So I don't know why I typically always start in the shoe section of a thrift store. I think it's because I can do a kind of a quick glance, and it sets me up for kind of what I think my thrifting day is going to be like. So a lot of shoes I won't even pick up because I can just see quality is not great. Some shoes I pick up and I look, at the bottom side or the inside. This is a brand that I have picked up before and sold, kind of cute style. I haven't been picking up clogs as much, but for that price, definitely not going to grab those. Wasn't familiar with this brand. It's obviously a singer, but I didn't know she made shoes. But just kind of peeking at things. There's certain things like stickers that can be indicators. Sometimes I do look on the inside. And I think for the sake of this, I was just trying to show some brands. But typically the shoe section I can skim. So Allbirds, I have a pair myself, and $8 is not terrible. I was just kind of looking at the condition, and I decided to put them in the cart just to hold on to them since it was like the beginning of my thrifting day. As I was walking through the shoes, I noticed a cart a woman was pushing, and I saw the spider, and I knew exactly what it was, so I snatched it up, and then I kind of took it over to a different area. It was a full price. They were just putting it out for the first time. And I do know this brand can do well. However, I noticed these snags. I wasn't sure. I was kind of humming and hawing if that's a thing. Finally, after kind of giving it a good inspection, I just decided I was going to keep it in the cart, look at it later. Just depends on how the day goes. So I moved over to sweaters. I know it's not sweater season, but sometimes I can get a good return on sweaters. It's easy to push the hangers and kind of look at a variety of things. Cute Torrid, but unless it's $1 and this wasn't $1 a day, I won't pick up. Mason Scotch, I have picked up, and I actually already saw this sweater, but that wasn't on sale. I think I had already looked up the comps, and I just didn't want to pick it up because it just had some pilling, and so I decided to pass on it. And I think it was a men's sweater in the women's section. But just browsing, this one kind of stood out to me because it's an XL. It was kind of a nice print. Felt a little bit off, like maybe it had been washed or something. Red was 50% off for this day, so I just decided to throw it in the cart, inspect it later, and just buys me more time to just kind of stew on it. So always having a hard time with hangers, per usual. And turtlenecks are never easy to maneuver, but just trying to see if there's anything worthwhile. Sometimes blank tags, I don't even try and look up if it's not a good quality. It's not really worth any effort. So here's a Dolce & Gabbana. And I mean, right away, I knew the condition was just not great. It had a lot of pilling. Dolce & Gabbana, I have, so you can see that there was a belt at some point, but there's no belt attached. So already a couple strikes. I couldn't read the second tag, so I go to look for the material tag. I'm kind of digging around for it because I was having a hard time. But at the end of the day, I couldn't find any other indicator that this was authentic. Plus, it wasn't in great condition, and it was $7. So I decided to pass on that, and just usually a safer bet. Plus, Dolce doesn't do all that well for me at the moment. Moved over to jackets because jackets, if you could find a really good jacket, there are some money makers in that section, and I don't mind holding on to things if it's a really great item. Came across this. I feel like I had looked up this tag before. Maybe it was a vintage item. I wasn't quite sure, but anytime I see yellows, it just stands out to me in thrift stores. So I was kind of looking at it. It's a trench coat, kind of fun. The price, it was just regular price. At the end of the day, after kind of inspecting it, I did look up comps, and it was too risky. So this vest was just a fun print. I kind of thought, okay, it was a little bit larger size, like maybe it was a women's size large, but it looked homemade. Couldn't find any tags or branding. I thought about it because it was 50% off, but then you can kind of see those lines don't match up, and it's just not well made. It didn't feel like quality. So even if it was 50% off and it was kind of fun, I just decided it was safer to leave it behind. But sometimes those things can be fun to pick up. All right, so I was pretty excited to see this brand pop up, only because I've only found it, I think, once or twice in the year and a half of reselling. I was kind of inspecting, does it have all the components, all the buttons? What's wrong with this? Why is this sitting here? I wasn't a huge fan of the color, but I just was kind of looking for major flaws and kind of looking at those tags to see if there was any authenticity, issues that were very obvious. I did notice that there was just a little bit of pilling, but overall it looked in decent condition. So I finally looked down at the price and noticed they did mark this one up, which, at my thrift stores, all of them, not just Goodwills, I tend to find that they do mark up things that are actually pretty accurate. Like that Celine jacket was a smart markup. And if it doesn't sell, it'll be there on 50% off week or dollar day. So this one was really fun. Obviously, the Aztec or the tribal print was fun. It was full price, and I noticed right away there was a very strong scent of cigarette smell, but I just absolutely loved the print. I didn't recognize it looked vintage, and it was a larger size, so I decided to throw that in the cart and decide later. And I decided to move over to dresses because I was getting kind of frustrated, and dresses sometimes can pop up some good finds. So right away, almost immediately, I see this Theory dress. It was a good size. It was size 10. Not really the perfect season. You can see there's pilling right there. The color and the 3/4 length sleeves, and I'm sure it's a wool blend and full price. It kind of a perfect fall winter dress, but not really spring summer. So if it were $1, I probably would have picked it up and used my sweater shaver, but I didn't feel like it. So not for that price. Moved on over to skirts. Sometimes my arms hurt on dresses, and spotted this one. This is I think it's an Aritzia brand. I don't know if I've sold it or I've just looked it up before, but obviously animal print is nice, but there were a couple snags. It was full price. And at the end of the day, I don't want to put work into things unless it's, really worth it. Moved over to jeans. And I'm not a huge jeans fan, but again, I was just really striking out and not happy with my thrifting so far. So I was just bouncing around sections. Came across these frame. I wasn't familiar with the style name, which I'll show in a second, but looked like it was, Legarcon, I'm not sure. There was a little bit of distressing right there, but not really distressing anywhere else. The seams right there looked a little bit questionable, and the price was full price. So I don't think that distressing was intentional. Just they looked a little worn, and so I left those behind. Onward and upward, or over. I went over to the men's section, and I decided to look at some of the short sleeve tops. John Barbados, I do like the brand, but not for that price. Maybe if it was $1 and in good condition. So here's the second one. Again, the polos, I don't know if I've sold any polos, but not for those price points. The standard James Purse, again, full price, not worth it. So I took my card over and I decided to inspect my items. Mind you, this was probably after 3.5 hours. And so I'm back at that Spider, humming and hawing. I don't find this brand often, so I just decided to leave it behind, put it in my no pile. This one, I didn't do it while showing, but I actually pulled on the sweater and it was having that sound like it had been washed. So I decided to leave it behind. The Celine, if it were $10 and maybe 50% off, I would have, but for $20 and some light pilling, I left it behind. Anna Sui is a very expensive designer, but doesn't have the most consistent resale. I did like this jacket. It was half off with the red tag. I liked the buttons. There was a missing belt, and I think there was a little bit of pilling. So I left that behind. This one I really liked. It was that same vintage, I'm assuming vintage brand, Mondi. And it had these suns on the buttons and the sun on the back. And then there were sun print on the wrist area. So this was full price. Now, there was some faint marks, so I just decided to leave it behind, but it was adorable. And then the last item I left was this Blvd doll. I do like this brand. I wear this brand. It's good quality, but it was full price. If it was half off, I probably would have picked it up, but time to check out.
All right, so it's the next day, and man, oh man, last night was terrible. I was almost there for almost 4 hours, and I walked with 4 things. I don't think I've ever had that bad of a day. Now, if I lived a street, a couple streets away, and it was just my local thrift store, I probably would have left after 30 minutes to an hour because it was not great. However, I drove an hour each way just to get there. And so I did want to stay until approximate closing time. I think I did leave a few minutes early, but so I think it was probably there closer to 3.5 hours, but 4 items in that amount of time. It happens to everyone. I debated on if I should share this, but I just want to show, A, I did pick up a few things and there were a couple new brands. B, it happens. And sometimes you go and there's just so much great stuff. And other times you go and you're working really hard for 4 hours and you walk away with 4 things. So yeah, that's what happened. All right. So the first item, I almost never pick these up, but I decided to pick up these because condition wise, I don't think they've ever been worn. They're a great size. They're women's size 9. And they're kind of one of their classic styles. So these are Allbirds. Everything was full price that I paid for, but you can see the Allbirds on the back, and then you can see the Allbirds written in there, and then the tag with the size is right there. So I believe these are the traditional wool runners. Again, there's just 0 signs of any wear. Like they're perfect. I have some almost exactly like this, and so I don't need them, but these are a great shoe, and the comps aren't as great as they once were, so I know that when I first started reselling, people were really excited when they found Allbirds, because retail, I can't remember the exact price, but they're probably $80, $90, maybe even $100 for some of them. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I've looked at their website, but they're not cheap shoes, and there is a demand for them, but there's more of them and more on the resale market. And so I'm hoping, because these are in perfect condition, like I don't think these have been worn, I'm hoping that I can maybe get somewhere between 40 and 50. I'm thinking closer to that 40 mark, but still condition wise, definitely good. All right, this was kind of a new brand, and it just doesn't feel like it's super expensive, but apparently this is an expensive brand. I did quick comps, and so I do need to do more diving in before I price things out. I want to say this was going to sell for over $40 because this was full price as well, but Madison Martin, I can't read it. This is a blouse or a top, or, it's very lightweight. It's kind of a fun color. The ruching, or kind of the cinched part, I'm not sure how that would lay. Maybe it's just because I have a chest, and it doesn't look like it would be flattering on me. But anyways, it was full price, but yeah, the comps looked good for this brand. So I don't know. It just doesn't feel super high quality. But if I recall correctly, this was probably $200 to $300. I could be off retail, but yeah. So I decided to pick that up. If any of these, when I look them up again in a little bit, before listing or before photographing, if any of them just don't have the comps that I originally saw, I will still exchange them. So This one, I could not figure this out, and I finally was just getting so frustrated that I just decided, I don't think these are gonna go sell. I don't think I should have picked these up, so I may exchange these, but it's an Australian brand called Sass and Bide, if that's how they pronounce it. I picked them up because style-wise, I think that they're really great. You know, you've got the distressing without the holes, but it kind of still gives that vibe. I like the two-tone of the denim. They're skinny. They're size 26, so it's, you know, but these are expensive. It's an Australian brand, but they just don't seem to be selling for a lot on the resale market. And I'm wondering if it's that they haven't made an entrance. I don't know. Very hit or miss comps. I'm gonna have to try and find something a little bit closer to this. It was a fun brand to find, like look up online and learn about, but I need to do some more research before I take the tag off, because if I don't think, you know, for $8, if I don't think these are gonna sell quickly, or for a high dollar amount, if they sell for a high dollar amount, but I have to sit on them for 6 months, that's fine. But the comps quickly looked like I'm probably only looking at maybe $40. Don't quote me on that. And it's probably not going to move quickly. So that's kind of a bad combination for me. So anyways, we'll see. And lastly, I got this jacket. Now this one, I'm actually going to test out the put an item in a freezer to see if it gets the scent out. So this is a really fun vintage, I think vintage. It's called Fox Wren. It's a little hard to read. The reason I'm going to leave the tags on and try the freezer method is because this reeks of cigarette smoke. Like, I mean, it's like, it's in there. This is probably the worst smelling item. And this is $10. And so I don't want to put in too much work, but I have heard, and I actually heard it from Loretta over at Thrift Love Sell. Hi, Loretta, if you're watching. She actually sent me a DM one time when I was talking on Instagram about something having a scent. She's like, try this. It works for me all the time. I haven't tried it because I haven't needed to try it, but this is a perfect item too. If this works by putting it in the freezer for 24 hours, now you may be thinking, ew, that's gross. A used item of clothing. I am going to put it in a bag in the freezer so that I'm not contaminating my food. But yeah, so it would need to be lint rolled. It needs to get that scent out, but I did love the print. If I can get it in decent shape, some of these are selling between, in this similar print, $50 to $70, but I didn't find this exact print, so I'm gonna have to. It does appear to be a bigger size too, which has also played a factor. I don't know if there was a size tag. I don't even think I looked, to be honest, but I thought it was great. It is a wool blend. It's not really the right season. Yeah, there's no size on here, but yeah, hopefully I can get that sent out. Hopefully I'll report back. And yeah, that was my thrift with me. Keeping it real. Hopefully in a few days when I go thrifting again, I have much more stuff to show. So anyways, hit the thumbs up if you like these thrift with me's, and I will see you in another video. Thanks guys, bye.